Thank you so much for joining us on this week's Good News. We are here with Angela Goforth, who is a part of the 40 Days for Life organization. So, Angela, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Bristol, and I got involved with the 40 Days for Life campaign a couple of years ago. And I initially started because I wanted more information to try to help other women that were like myself that had had an abortion. And so that's where my heart is, to try to help women that have had abortions to know that, it's okay to speak about it. It's okay to get help, and God's there for you. He wants you to heal, and this is not the end. This is not the sin. So,
if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about the organization, and then I'll get into your story, actually, because your story, you've already told me a little bit about it, is a very powerful and a very, I mean, honestly, when I saw what your story was, I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's not, I don't want to say amazing because what you went through is not good, but now where you're at now and being able to help others who have been impacted by abortion and help them on the other side is incredible. Just using that story.
Yeah, that's all God. God's the amazing part. I was the mess. He's the mess. It is the message. 40 Days for Life is just it's just an opportunity, I think, where people come together, and it's organized nationally, internationally, and normally we're praying. We meet up. We have a time. We're having a kickoff campaign, so you can come and get more information, and it's just a peaceful, prayerful, because prayer is our weapon of anything we have. I mean, we can scream, we can argue, we can hold up, crazy signs, but prayer is our weapon, and we want it to stop. We want abortions to stop. We want babies to quit being killed, and we want women to not have to go through this. So, that's what we do. We meet up and just go out. We call it the vigil site. We go out. We set up. We try to ask people to set up a time frame. Maybe you can come every Thursday at this time or whatever. So that what we're wanting is people across at the clinic site praying constantly during this time. And that way, just, asking God and agreeing with God that this is wrong and this is, we want to bring attention to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is very cool. So with the 40 Days for Life, it is a campaign, but it's also an organization that is dedicated to just ending abortion and helping those who have been affected by it.
Yeah. And they also have helped women that are, and any men that are in the business, helping them get out. The movie Unplanned, I don't know if you've seen that, but it's a great movie, and it shows Abby Johnson's journey of working at a clinic and getting out, and she came alongside the 40 Days for Life at the time. They came alongside and helped her, and now she goes out and talks and tells her story. So it's not just end abortion and we put a period on it, we're done, because there's still people affected.
Yeah, definitely. So with people that are watching this right now, they might be wondering, why exactly are you involved with this?
I'm involved because I had an abortion, and I regret it. It was the wrong decision, and probably the wrong decision that started a roller coaster of up and down, lot more down than up, and throughout my life. So it just was a root of a lot of issues.
Yeah, that's hard. So what would you say, with this show, that what we're wanting to talk about is we're wanting to share good news. We're wanting to share hope, really, because Jesus is the ultimate provider of hope. So with what you all are doing, where have you seen God show up in maybe someone's life that has been impacted, or someone that you've talked with? Where have you seen that hope that only Jesus can provide?
Well, through the campaign, I think that being a presence shows that there are people that have a different viewpoint, and maybe let's pursue that, giving a different option. It's very easy to get an abortion. It's very easy to go in there and call and just say, hey, I'm pregnant, I want to have an abortion. Very, very easy to do that part, and you get no more information. Once you've made that phone call, there's no conversation of, are you sure? And so we want to give people other options. Let them know that, number one, it is a baby. And that, number two, that people love you and the baby. Not just the baby, but we love you. And try to hook people up with organizations that might have other resources, and just come alongside a woman that is in a situation where she doesn't know what to do. And so, we've heard testimonies and read through the organization. We get emails and there's newsletters and stuff, and where people have done sidewalk counseling, or someone's came up, and said, hey, why are you here? Why are you saying these things? And just having a conversation and opening up a doorway, to just to make a different choice.
So what would you say if someone's watching this right now or listening to this, and they're maybe thinking about an abortion or know someone who is thinking about it? What would you say personally, because you've been affected by it? You had an abortion and you've lived through that struggle. What would you tell them right now?
I just tell people, just don't make that phone call. Try to find someone in your life that you could talk to. Maybe there's an aunt, a friend. We have so many resources on our phone. Use your phone and put in, I don't want to have an abortion, or I'm pregnant, what can I do? There's going to be resources that are going to pop up. So wherever you live, I don't know all the resources, but wherever you live, you can find something. And just talk to someone, get information, so that you can make a better choice. Get information about the fact that it's a baby. It's not tissue. Get information about the fact that this isn't just going and having your wisdom teeth taken out. Get information saying, here's things you might struggle with and probably will struggle with down the road. This inconvenience and this quick fix is not. It's not a quick fix.
So if you're okay answering this, what are some of the struggles that you've had personally through this? I mean, for me, as a man, as a father, I don't know necessarily the physical impact that it has of carrying a child, of having that child growing inside of you. But from your perspective, as a woman, as a mother, what is the long-term impact? Because it's not a quick fix. It's not.
No, it seems like it. When I had mine, like I said, it went down. You go in. It's very, very clinical, very professional, very sterile. They're there to help you, air quotes, help you, and you go in and you think you've fixed it, because for me, I was in college and I found out I was pregnant, and the last thing I could do was let my parents know I was having sex. Never mind, I'm pregnant. It wasn't even that. It was, they're going to know I had sex. And also connecting the fact that not only are you pregnant, but you have a baby. And I think that's the disconnect at times, that you're pregnant and then I can get rid of it and be done and move on. And that's what I thought I did. And I had my abortion in September of 1986, 100 years ago. And I was in college, I was making good grades, and then it just slowly started unraveling and slipping away. And by April of 87, I was trying to kill myself. And it was shame and guilt. I mean, I grew up in church. I definitely was not living a solid Christian life, but I went to church and I knew right from wrong and all of those things. But I guess something inside of me knew that it was, what I had done was so horrific, and I couldn't reconcile it. And so, I was super depressed, and I was, drinking, and I was trying to live my life, live my best life, but also I think I was trying to drown and suffocate whatever this terrible just gunk was from that. At the time, I didn't know what it was. And so for me, I I overdosed and went to counseling a little bit. And then just about a month later, I got married. So, let's do that. That's a great idea. And the thing is I was in no position mentally to marry anybody. And so we get married and by all accounts, I looked okay from the outside, really good at, putting on my makeup and getting my clothes straight and moving along. And we were a military family, moved around, and I had a couple of kids, and and life was whatever it was, going to the grocery store and doing laundry and whatever. And for me, it really, really started unraveling in a big way. As I moved along, as trying to get closer to God, or actually, I think God was trying to get closer to me, and I'd be there and then I'd move away, and so I would be up and down. But I think I was getting more, and learning more and growing. And when I got pregnant with my third child, that's when it just really unraveled. I knew what it was like to, like you said, have a baby. I knew what it was like to feel, and I felt like God was gonna take my baby, because at this point I was starting to understand what I had done. The closer I got to God, or the closer He got to me, then my sin was being revealed, and it was such a weight. And so I was severely depressed, and like I said, I thought the baby was going to be taken. I didn't think, I was going to have God was going to have to punish me. And through all of this, I had struggled for years with panic attacks and severe anxiety, depression, insomnia. Just unable to function in a sense, but then carrying on for the outside world. For you to look at me from the outside, you would have thought everything was okay. And, in and out of therapy and trying to, fix things. And then trying to, the more I was at church, then trying to be a good Christian, because I got to make it right. And, so I'll do a lot of Bible studies, and I will read a lot of books, and I'll go to, everything that there is, and I will be part of things, and I'll listen to Christian music, and I'll do it. I'll do it all. And my son was born, and everything was fine. And then I thought, I know what's going to happen. Now that I really know the baby and love it, now God's going to take it. That's how that works. That is not how that works. That is not God. He is loving God. He is not vindictive and going to snatch something from you, and so, so it's just a journey to that point of just gunk and psychologically, mentally, and spiritually, just a mess.
So when did the healing start to begin for you?
The healing, in hindsight, had started in the sense of you can't heal from something that you don't know was wrong. So I had to, for years, I was okay with my decision, because otherwise, if I wasn't, then I must have made a wrong decision. So I wasn't super pro-choice, but I definitely thought, well, I'll do what I want. It's my body. But then that's with any sin. With any sin we do, we're going to do what we want. I'm going to drink, I'm going to run around, I'm going to do it because that's what I want to do. We don't call it sin, because that would, that's weird. And plus, I'm going to church. I never stopped really going to church. I was, involved in things. But I think the amazing thing about God is He is such a gentle God at times. And He just opens a little bit. He doesn't, I'm going to start crying. He doesn't just open it up and just pull it all off, the scab off, and say, look at what you've done. It's just easy at times because we can't handle it. Even now, at times, if I really think about it, I can't handle what I did. So he had already started showing me the problem, and this is another place where my heart is. I was sitting in a Sunday school class. We were on a military base. It was there was chaplains, a couple of chaplains, and a chaplain's wife. I don't even know. The conversation got to something about abortion, and the chaplain's wife started remarking about those girls. I'm gonna have a campaign. It's gonna be called #ThosGirls. Those girls, And I remember just my ex-husband. He's probably still got marks. I remember just grabbing his leg and just because I was like, is she talking about me? Does she know? Do I have something on me? Do I smell funny? And so that just put a damper on how was I going to get help? In the church setting, it's been very hard because we're the church, the people are very, very condemning, because we don't know what to do. We know abortion is wrong. But then what do you do with the women? And if 1 in 4 on a low side are having abortions, then how many women are in your church? How many women in the restaurant you go to? How many women in your neighborhood have had abortions to sit and think, what do we do with them? And so I know that in John 10:10, it tells us that the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. Here he killed my baby. And, because I believed the lies, it was easier to get rid of the baby. And now he's trying to destroy and steal everything else. Destroy my marriage, steal my joy, my self-esteem, my whole mental ability, And then here I am in a church setting where I should be getting help. And she didn't even know. She had no clue. Unless I did smell, I don't know. She had no clue. But that stuck with me for years until after my son was a couple years old, I went to a women's group. I used to go every Tuesday. It was this wonderful, wonderful women's group, a big thing they do on military bases. And a lady got up in church and told about her abortion in church. I was amazed. I've heard all these testimonies of women from, alcohol or I was abused and here's how I overcame it, or my husband cheated. But this one was talking about killing her baby. And so I was like, man, she's talking about this. And then another lady months later got up and she talked, and she was doing a study. She was going to have a little group get together for women that had abortions, a healing Bible study. And I went, and that was the absolute start of healing.
That's awesome. So you talked about it a little bit, but I'd love to know, for me, I'm very involved in my local church, and what can we do as a church that would help? Because I didn't know the statistics of, potentially 1 in 4 women. I know I did hear, 3,000, I believe, daily.
And there's a mother attached.
Yeah. And what do we need to do as the church to help those women? Because we don't want for them to feel like that. We don't want you to feel like that, because Jesus wouldn't do that. Jesus would embrace you. Jesus would take you in and hold you. So what can we do to make that better?
I think number one is talk about it. Start in the pulpit. I think preachers I don't know, I can't speak for preachers, but being a military spouse and moving around, I have probably been in, I don't know, I can't even count, 50, 75 different churches. And I have heard abortion, other than abortion's wrong, just, a little period at the end of it, and you lump it in. But I have only heard of it being spoken about in any kind of healing way, restorative way, or we love you way. Those 2 women, that there was a service at that particular chapel, and I've heard in my own church, shout out to my preacher for speaking about it and okaying and letting me do a Bible study. But I've only heard it a few times. So why aren't we speaking about it? This is such a thing. I mean, it's such an epidemic. It's such an awful thing that's going on. Why aren't we speaking? I mean, I don't understand. I know for a fact, though, that women are afraid. You've got women that have been married, for 30 years and their husband doesn't know. You've got women that are in relationships or they're, it's the mayor, I don't know, a political position, or I'm the president of the bank and I'm the deacon's wife. I can't tell. But Satan wants us to be secretive. That's his favorite, be secretive and shamed. He wants us to be, slinking over in the corner and not feeling worthy. And, the rest of that verse in John 10:10, he tells us he comes to give, Jesus has came to give us life more abundant. Not just, oh, I barely made it, good thing. He wants us to be thriving. And in churches, I think we need to have, outreaches and Bible studies and just talking about it. Have women like me come and talk at, women's groups. And there's never been a time that I've not been in some setting where I've talked about my abortion that another woman hasn't came along privately and said, I had one. Just yesterday, I was talking to someone and this person said, I had one.
That's crazy. I didn't know. I mean, that's amazing that you've been able to be a part of that. And I want to say thank you.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Because that's not easy. Talking about something that you struggle with in general is not easy. But I know from an addiction standpoint, when you talk about your struggles, that is when you find freedom. Right. And I love that you are wanting to do that. And I love that you are wanting to really come along, not just say, oh, abortion's wrong, period. It's like, no, okay, this is what we can do after you have an abortion. Because facing the facts, people have abortions. It's going to happen.
If we stop it today, how many women still had an abortion that they're still dealing and struggling with, the consequences of that? Wonderful, let's stop it today. I would stand up and cheer, that'd be great. But I'm still here. All these other women I've talked about or I've seen, I had the Bible study, there was women in their 70s that 50 years ago and had struggled their lives and not realized the root.
Yeah. So what would you now say to, if someone's listening to this right now and they're like, okay, I've had an abortion and I haven't told anybody, or there's, only a couple people that know, and I'm on that verge of maybe they are so depressed that they're contemplating, maybe ending their life. What would you say to them to start that healing process? Because you went through it for so long before you before you came out on the other side, so to say. What would you say to them right now?
Well, I mean, it's not the end for you. You're still here. So God still has plans for you. And, I always say, my mess, I've been a hot mess or lukewarm mess. I don't know which kind of mess is the worst, but I've been one, a cold mess. But now it's for God's message. But I've been there. The thing about feeling that way is that shame, the guilt, the regret, the letting people down, the I don't know what to do. That is all lies from the enemy. Those are lies. And we have to know what God says. And God He's loving, He's kind. Jesus died on the cross for all sin. This is not there. There's not an exception. It says all. If we confess, He's faithful, all unrighteousness, and I've underlined all, and even abortion, because He died for all of it. So there's still hope. There's hope for everyone. He wants to restore, redeem. He wants to heal. He's not surprised you had an abortion. He was there. He knew I did it. He knew I was going to do it. So when I finally realized what I had done and the impact and weight of that, He was not sitting up in heaven and what did she just say? I mean, He knew. He's just been waiting on me to allow Him to do what He does best. I had to get to the point where I let Him. And I had to deal with that. I had to face things. But there are things. There are resources out there. Unfortunately, in this category, you may have to dig a little bit because it's it's probably not up on the bulletin board at the church right now. And I always want to say, just call me, but I don't know. I don't know if somebody would, but reach out. Abortion Alternatives is out there. There's other resources in the Tri-Cities, wherever people are listening from, there are resources. But if all you have is you and Jesus, you're good. And he's there. He loves you. He doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you did. You didn't do enough to make him not be your savior, because if you did, then he's not able, and then we just don't even need to worry about it. But he is able. He's the same Jesus he was, and he died on the cross for that, and you can be forgiven, and you can be restored, and you can start healing, and have your own message, your own testimony. I mean, and you don't have to hold this and be ashamed of it.
Definitely. That's awesome. Is there anything specifically that you would like to share before we wrap up this conversation?
Well, wow. Okay, let's see. I have I think my thing is just realizing, like you said, you didn't realize the sort of the facts. Well, a lot of times we skip over these facts, and that's why I try not to be, like this poll and that poll. But abortion has been going on a long time, and I always say those girls, we're there, and we are sitting in the pews. We are sitting wherever, you're at, and we might be your wife, we might be your girlfriend, we might be your mother, or we might be your sister. And I just think that we need to be aware of that, especially as the church. We need to be aware that this is huge, and we need to be compassionate and kind and understanding. And for those of us that have been through it and maybe are on the other side of some healing, we need to start speaking out, even if it's just in a small group. You don't know the impact of you speaking out something besides, those girls. If you speak out, I mean, if somebody said, I speak out, I worked in a restaurant and would tell people I was doing a Bible study. When they asked me, I was like, well, it's about abortion. I had one, and I'm trying to help women heal. I don't know if anybody was ever affected, but just speaking out, it's, and being able to come forward. I mean, that's where my heart is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with people getting involved with this 40 Days for Life organization and this campaign, because it is good, there's something coming up here very soon.
Yes.
Just dropping my phone. There's something coming up very soon. How can someone watching this or listening to this get involved with what's coming up?
Well, we would love to have a lot of people be involved. If you are in the Tri-Cities anywhere, the clinic in Bristol on West State, it affects all of us because it is your clinic. And so that is where we go and pray, and we kind of pinpoint toward that. Right down the road from that is the Bridge Church, and off of 24th Street, I believe. And we're going to have a kickoff on September 12th, and you can get involved there. You can also go on the 40 Days for Life, and you can find us. We have a Facebook page, 40 Days for Life, I believe Bristol.
And we'll leave the link to all this. I'll go ahead and get those and link them in the video, so you guys can click on that.
And just because you come doesn't mean you're involved, but it is a great way to find out. It's peaceful. We're asking you to be aggressive. We're not asking you to run up and preach to people. We're just asking you to come and pray. And if you can't pray there are people who have limitations, and we do ask you to pray at home, of course. But it's a great way to link up and get churches involved. I don't understand how many churches we have. Why are not more people involved? I mean, your preacher is probably super busy. So if this is something you're interested in, then you head it up. Or you just come and say, hey, preacher, I'm going to go to this meeting, get some information, and take it back. I mean, we should be taking a stand. I mean, we have a whole lot of us out there that think this is wrong and we want to do and help and heal. Let's go be part of it.
Yeah, and committing to pray for 40 days is honestly not that big of an ask. You're not asking people to go do anything crazy. You're just asking, hey, there is power in prayer. We believe that there's power in prayer, which is why we want you to join us and pray with us, pray for us, and pray for these women and people that are being affected by this.
Those girls.
Yeah, those girls. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you so much for
being
having me
willing
here.
to do this. So, I mean, that's just being able to hear that. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but I was starting to tear up a little bit. I had to hold back because that is powerful. Your story is huge. Your story is I believe is changing lives and going to continue to change lives, because just your honesty of, I went through this. It sucked. But Jesus is, well, what did you say? It's your mistakes. Or
My
your,
mess,
your
his message.
His message. That's huge. You're admitting it. And I mean, all of us are messy. All of us are messy. Life is messy. But God can use that mess for his message. So thank you so much for willing to do that, and just not just being able to talk here, but just your heart for these women that have been affected by that. That is awesome.